Now, I was just going to go to bed, but I decided that I simply cannot sleep a sleepy sleep without discussing probably one of my favorite videos of all time that's just dropped 5 hours ago from content creator and 31.8 million subscriber legend. I'll even call him a legend. Dream. So, as everybody knows, Dream has undergone quite a lot of drama recently, and he's been under a lot of scrutiny. And when I say scrutiny, I mean he could not catch a break from the amount of people that were slandering him, hating on him, finding things to criticize about him, accusing him of everything under the sun, including calling him a groomer, being an underage lover. I mean, anything that you could accuse somebody of doing, Dream, according to a couple people, had already done, if not worse. So, Dream, instead of just responding to people on Twitter like he usually does, he decided, you know what, forget that. I'm actually going to make a video addressing everything. Now, when I say everything, I don't mean just a couple of things that are really big that are harmful to his brand. I mean absolutely everything. This video is 1 hour, 22 minutes long, and it catalogues just about everything that has been said about him or that has been criticized about him, even down to the face leaks and him just posting thirst traps. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go in order of everything that he talks about and sort of just give my opinion on where I stand on this. So the first thing he talks about is the face leak photo, and he shows that infamous fat picture of him. And instead of just going, this photo isn't me, he goes, yes, this photo actually was me. I just didn't want everybody to know what I looked like. He wanted to keep his face reveal a secret, essentially. And he went to such major extents trying to hide his face. It was going to the point where he was boarding up his windows with black whatever it was, making sure nobody could see through his windows. Every time he went to the dentist, he covered his face with a blanket so nobody could see it. He was so paranoid about showing his face because he didn't want people doxing him. But people did end up doxing him. People ended up going to his house, knocking on the door. But when he had his own housemates answer the door for him, they ended up swatting his parents' house, swatting his house, swatting his grandma's house, calling his grandma, who is 80 years old, by the way, and pretending to be him. So that's basically why he tried to hide his face from the public, was because he didn't want this kind of stuff to happen, but it did end up happening. And it's a shame because nobody should go through that sort of stuff. It's incredibly traumatizing to know that anybody can swap your house or your parents' house anytime they want because they just don't like you. Something else he quickly touched upon was the speedrun cheating scandal, and he basically just went over a couple of things like, look, I didn't know I was using a mod that was messing up with my game, but also he finds it kind of funny that somebody who outed him for cheating also turned out to be a cheater himself, and he also gave a slight mention to Carl Jobs, calling him an absolute chad, and to be fair, he kind of is. Now, what we're going to be talking about next is the reason I wanted to make this video. Not only because I really wanted to talk about this whole Dream drama stuff and his response, because in my opinion it is definitely one of the videos of the year and I definitely suggest you should check it out. I also reacted to it on my Kick channel as well, and something that really surprised me is when he started talking about the grooming allegations. Now, what's interesting about the grooming allegations is if you're accused of grooming, you usually talk about the ones that are really painful or the ones that are really bad to your brand. But he goes, no, forget that. I'm going to talk about every single grooming allegation that was made against me. Not only that, he also brought every single receipt. Now, when I'm talking about receipts, I'm not just talking about the usual receipts, you know, that you show off in the video but then don't leave a link to. This guy left every single statement, every single piece of evidence, every single message, absolutely everything you can find in the description of the video, so you know that his statements aren't just speculation, they are facts. This is true for when he talked about the Amanda situation, for the Gumball versus Dream situation, for the moaning allegation that was made from a burner account and claimed to be a friend that he used to have called Jamie, and another grooming allegation that I can't remember because I'd watched it a couple hours ago. Essentially, he slanders every single one. He even gets to the point where he goes and calls the police department, because every single grooming allegation said that they were at the police department and they were going to make a statement. And he called them up and they went, no one ever made a report against you. If they said that they did make a report against you, you should probably report it because it's slanderous. And he goes, yeah, I know. which is already Chad-like of him. This already gave me a lot of respect for him, because it's bad enough to have to undergo this sort of thing on the down low, right? But to also have to bring up all this evidence just to show you're not a bad person. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. People would take the smallest amounts of evidence that Dream was a bad person and immediately call him a piece of shit. And he's had to make a 1 hour 22 video just proving that he's not a piece of shit. And you know what? Good on him, because I don't know a lot of people that would do that, and he's really gone through with it. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, that he talks about in his video as well, is the guy called Nicholas Cantu, who is the voice actor for Gumball. He also voices Leo in the new Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, which is actually a really good film. And essentially he talks about the whole issue with what happened in the Uber car that day, why Nicholas was undergoing, was basically drunk and high in the car at the time. But also, it addresses something that I think is quite interesting, in which Nicholas Cantu called him a bunch of slurs, was incredibly drunk, was obviously high, was really close to getting arrested. It was slated in the video. But for whatever reason, Nicholas was seen as the hero. He was seen as the one that's, standing up to Dream, and everybody was making animations or saying, oh, we give him the F-word slur pass because you're doing it against Dream. If you were being called that on the internet and people were telling you that you were still in the wrong for recording a situation where he was clearly being incredibly rude to you, I can't imagine how that must have felt. And not only that, Dream did the best thing I think he could have ever done and had an interview with the Uber driver himself, the man who actually drove those two on the day. And the Uber driver basically sits there and says, look, if you think Dream is in the wrong, you are incredibly naive and incredibly stupid, because he is not in the wrong. In fact, I think there should be more people like him out there in the world. And the Uber driver basically sits down and says, look, Nicholas, this hatred that you held towards me, this anger that you were sharing with everyone, I think this isn't something to do with you. I think this is something to do with some trauma or some bad stuff that's happening in your life, and I hope you get help. And man, it was incredibly powerful. The Uber driver interview is probably my favourite part of the video, because it was a really human response to the whole situation, and I think it was really touching, actually. And I'm glad that he talked about that. I think it was a really good part of the video. He finished off the whole response by basically saying false accusations are incredibly serious, and it can undermine people who have actually gone through incredibly traumatic events. And if you were in any way responsible for either spreading these false accusations or indeed starting these false accusations yourself, not only are you part of the problem from making people who are genuine victims afraid of coming out, but by reposting it and hoping for Dream's downfall because of allegations against supposed minors, even if he had done it, proves that you didn't care about the victims themselves, but you cared more about the downfall of an innocent man. And it's incredibly sad to see, because all you wanted were clicks and views on your Twitter account so you could get a fat paycheck from Elon Musk. And it's sad, and it really is. My response to this is, well, I never liked Dream's content, but as a content creator and as a person, my respect for him and my admiration for him has gone up significantly. I think he has really redeemed himself, and I think everybody who does not like Dream, or at least thinks he is as bad as everybody is saying, I highly suggest you go and watch the video. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description, or you could just search up Dream. It's going to be the first video that pops up. I am really glad he made this video. And I'm really glad that I watched it, because now I see him in a completely different perspective, and it's really giving me a new admiration of him. Not a lot of people can endure the amount of false accusations and hatred and doxing and death threats that he's received and come out the other end. And because of that, I have a respect for him I don't think that will be matched by a lot of other YouTubers. So fair play to him. But hey, I'd love to know what you think about the situation. Do you think he deserves to have his redemption arc? And do you think it's bad that he's undergone all this hate? Or do you think he kind of deserves it? I don't know. I'd love to have your opinions. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. And hey, if you enjoyed our response, feel free to like, subscribe, ring that bell. And, I'll continue making these videos about topics that I'm interested in. All right, this is Samushi169 signing out. Bye!